Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me, T. Mosso at the1916company.com for pricing. Today we discuss a model launched in 2018 from Audemars Piguet. This is the Royal Oak Offshore Chronograph with a combination of stainless steel case, blue ceramic accessories, and an indigo blue mega Tapiserrie dial with the largest hobnails, white gold numerals, hands, and logo to match. So it's a big watch, 42 millimeters in diameter, 14.6 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip if we're just talking about the case, 54 millimeters, but from end link to end link, the total distance across the wrist, brace yourself, 58.5 millimeters. But don't panic because this one's actually set up to wear as best as possible on a smaller wrist. First, you can see that the lugs are angled down. Second, this strap, which was once exclusive to the diver models, has been more generally distributed across the Royal Oak range, and it has outstanding flexibility, unlike the beefy hornback alligator generally seen on the chronographs. We'll throw this watch on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. And you can see the watch wears well. Now, every Royal Oak and Offshore wears a size or two larger than its rated size, so I'd say this wears more like a 44, and you can see on my wrist, I could wear this, but I think my wrist is probably the smallest wrist that could. If your wrist is smaller than mine, you're going to want to go with a conventional Royal Oak rather than an Offshore. This 42 millimeter watch in steel wears like a 44. Here's your over the top where you can see that the lugs are out to the edge of my wrist, the plots, the intermediate links, a little bit beyond that, and then down the barrel you get the truest view where you can see that yes, the lugs and even the plots are somewhat inboard to the edge of my wrist. It's not the thickest watch, not considering the water resistance, automatic winding, and a modular complication. It'll fit underneath jacket cuffs, just not the tightest of dress sleeves. Strap's really nice. As you can see, there are character lines that are molded in. The bevel of the lug hoods continues down the edge of the strap. It's got nice granular finish to give it a matte sheen on the underside. You can see this is a brand new Audemars Piguet factory strap, no crimping, no gouging. We have a matching Audemars Piguet stainless steel buckle with a combination of three finishes: media blast, polish, and then satination. The case, as with all Royal Oaks and Offshores, features a wonderful combination of hand-applied details, including an expanding bevel on the lug hoods, character lines that run unimpeded from the bezel through the mid-case through the case back, contrast between satin and polish. You can see even some elements that are made of ceramic, very difficult to finish. They feature a contrasting finish. We have this little polished micro bevel around the edge of the chronograph pushers and the outer face of the crown shoulder. That's all polished, and then the remaining facets are satinated. Difficult to do on metal, really difficult to do on ceramics. These elements are very scratch resistant. We have a screw down crown. We do have 100 meter water resistance as on all Offshores. The bezel gasket is fully expressed as a styling element. It's much less prominent on a conventional Royal Oak. Then we have screws and bars fixing the strap to the case. Always the right way to do things on an expensive and heavy watch, giving you more security and certainty than you would find on a spring bar system. The bezel, a rounded octagon as it has been since the first Royal Oak of 1972. That one was drawn by Gerald Genta, and the shape was inspired by a vintage diving helmet. The Royal Oak Offshore, which bowed in '93, designed by a young Emmanuel Guet, paid tribute to Genta, but made everything a little bit more overt and outrageous. Genta hated it, but ultimately, it became an icon in its own right, a more aggressive, sporting, and durable Royal Oak for those who truly do plan to take their watch offshore. This one is easily swimmable, even for scuba and light diving. We have screws, or I should say we have bolts, because these are nut and bolt assemblies in the bezel, hexagonal, as is the shoulder to the crown. They are a nod to the original Royal Oak, but on the standard Royal Oak, these would be gold or white gold, and here they are steel. And they are bolts, which is how the slot can be oriented circumferentially in such perfect fashion. You can't do that with screws. You can also see how they are slightly recessed below the plane of the bezel. That's always a sign of good condition and minimal, if any, refinishing. The dial, a beautiful indigo blue lacquer, according to Audemars Piguet. We have a tachymeter scale outboard that you can use in conjunction with the chronograph to gauge the speed of an object, such as a race car over a kilometer, we have a magnifier that is actually built into the dial, and because it's a modular complication, you can see the centers of the chronograph pushers a little bit higher than the center of the crown. The base movement carries the date, so you're looking down past the chronograph module to the base movement. That's why in so many traditional Royal Oak offshores the date appears to be buried. Now we do have a hacking second system, stop seconds, and a quick set date, so you can rapidly cycle and correct. We have no shortage of luminescence, as you can see, plenty of that. Flip it all over. We have a modular movement, but the part you see is Audemars Piguet manufacturer caliber 3126. So automatic winding with bidirectional winding action and ceramic bearings. It has a 22 karat mass with the coats of arms of the Audemars and Piguet families. To remind you that Audemars Piguet is the oldest continuously family-owned and run watchmaker in Switzerland since 1875. A batwing style full balance bridge with a free-sprung gyromax style balance for shock resistance and precise setting. Beats away at 3 hertz. All this pivoting on 59 joules and, 54 joules. And you can see that it is nicely decorated with a combination of mechanical and manually applied finishing elements. And so it is price appropriate. This is pretty much what you'll get from JLC or Zenith, Glasuta Original, maybe a little bit below the standard you'll find on a Vacheron or a Patek, but definitely class competitive with a 50 to 55 hour power reserve. And then on top, you have a Dubois de Praz 3840 vertical clutch chronograph module. So you can see when you engage the chronograph, there's very little extraneous motion to the chronograph hand. Easy to do and extremely precise. It doesn't have the jump or stagger that you will characteristically find in a lateral clutch system. If you love this watch, and I can see why, it's colorful and cheerful, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.